we got it. Welcome back to Base Sunday. We are back on the art theme now. The Weinstein Gallery here in San Francisco has some of the world's masterpieces on display, and they just extended the stay of the works of Hassel Smith, an artist with deep Bay Area roots who combines bright colors in his portraits and abstracts some beautiful pieces. And here to talk about the gallery itself is Jasmine Moorhead. How are you?
I'm good.
Good
How
to
are
have you with
you?
us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, first tell our viewers where it is and what they can expect if they were to walk in.
Absolutely. Weinstein Gallery is located on Union Square in San Francisco at 383 Geary Street. And that's been the location for 20 years that Roland Weinstein, who's the owner of the gallery, started it, 2 decades ago. And so the gallery has evolved into this amazing place that really showcases artists who you should have heard of.
That you should have heard of. Not the ones we've all heard of.
Right, exactly.
More obscure artists.
It's art. The art history canon is not always as direct as you think it should be. Let's say that artists get missed that shouldn't have gotten missed.
And some become more popular after they pass.
That does happen a lot.
Years and years later.
Absolutely, because the art remains, and something that may have been a little bit ahead of its time at that moment and wasn't recognized 50 years later, people can see the genius.
Okay, well,
that
leads us into Hassel Smith,
yes.
A guy that was born in Michigan, raised in Palo Alto, schooled at Northwestern, but spent a lot of his formative years right here in San Francisco.
He was very intent on a career in academia and had a full ride scholarship to Princeton when in the mid-30s he came out for a summer drawing class at the California School of Fine Arts.
And he got hooked.
He got hooked. His life completely changed at that moment. And on a dime, he decided he was going to become an artist. So he stayed in the Bay Area and went to the California School of Fine Arts for an art degree. And that school is now the San Francisco Art Institute.
Well, his work is very compelling. It's bright. It's beautiful. I could throw out all these superlatives, but why don't we look at some of it? And I guess it's been very popular with folks here in San Francisco because you've extended the stay.
Right. Well, what's interesting is he was one of the founders of the abstract expressionist movement, and a lot of that goes to Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko on the East Coast, but in fact, it was a very important movement in the West Coast, and this gets under-recognized. And Hassel Smith was there at the beginning doing this work.
And a lot of this work was done when?
So he was, his career started in the mid-40s and extended until the late 90s when he couldn't paint any longer. But 50 years of art making.
I was looking up some of the superlatives as we look at some of his artwork. Extraordinary acts of intelligence, widely expressive, almost violent. Someone said, whatever it is, it draws you in, I guess,
well,
right?
What I think people should understand about his work is that he loved jazz music. And I think this is a really great way to understand his work. He loves the improvisation within a form. And so you see a lot of his work that on first glance, everything sort of looks the same, but then you realize he's using these elements in these absolutely magical, syncopated ways to move through the artwork.
Now, is the work only on display? Is it for sale too, or is this
it's
part
also
of a
for
collection?
sale. It is. A lot of the works are coming from the estate of Hassel Smith, and the original impetus for doing the show at this moment was he has not had a San Francisco retrospective in 30 years, and he passed away in 2007, and it just felt time to really reintroduce this work. And Prestel, which is a very reputable publisher out of Germany, just published a monograph on his work as well. So it's this wonderful 300-page monograph. Paul Karlstrom, who's a Bay Area writer, contributed. Peter Sells, Susan Landauer. So amazing people came together for this book, and people need to see the work again.
You know, art's like a good book. It never gets old. I mean,
No.
it can go from generations to generations. My grandfather was into, he bought a few pieces in Holland, and they came back with them in the 40s, and us kids fought over who's going to get that. I get the violin maker. I get the horse guy. You know?
It is amazing how they become attached to your soul. and that's what they should do.
So this is going to go on for how long?
The show runs through February 8th, and then we'll have select pieces still available because we're representing the estate of Hassel Smith right now.
Well,
Yeah.
Jasmine, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate it. All the best. If you'd like to see Hassel Smith's work and learn more about the offerings at the Weinstein Gallery, you can log on to weinstein.com, and we'll be back. More Bay Sunday when we come back. So stay there.